let's talk about The Last Dance again. We got 2 more episodes this week. We were blessed with that and blessed with more knowledge on Dennis Rodman and, obviously the Bulls and their whole,
Not leaking.
Right, everything.
The reminder.
The reminder of everything.
It's back.
Yeah, legit. The reminder of why, the argument is still an argument.
But for sure, no. Like, as a kid, you only see basketball, so all this little extra stuff that's going on.
Right.
This is all news to me, so I ain't gonna act all fancy pants about it.
So for these 2 episodes, what was your favorite moment?
My personal favorite moment was when they were going over the shot over Craig Elo, okay. and they discussed it all the way up to the point. Michael Jordan pretty much, he was pretty much laughing at the fact that they're going to have Craig Elo hold them instead of Ron Harper.
He straight up said that was a mistake.
Yeah, and then instantly when the camera cuts to Ron Harper and he was like, fuck that bullshit. Like that by far, 20 times over, it was hilarious. It goes up there with Horace Grant's quote.
That was an all-around terrible play call.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Great, amazing shot, though. I feel like, or did he need to?
It was good defense. Like, he
So,
fine. He made the hardest
But,
shot.
could you make that shot on Ron is the next question.
I don't think he made it. Well, see, he played really good defense, but the thing is, he messed up when he slipped.
Yeah.
If you notice
when he was holding him?
He was
well, it was ball denial from the top of the
He slipped. And that's when Jordan was able to slip away.
He was really trying to deny the ball. That's why.
It was ball denial for sure.
And you guys see the picture of, it was like a camera shot of looking straight at Jordan in his face. And you see Craig Elo, his hand straight up, but it's not in front of his face. It's off to the side. But he still... Because he had to catch up after he slipped. Yeah, so that was the whole issue with the fact that he slipped.
But he still made him double clutch.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah, and which is crazy. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's how high
That's my question is to say, does Ron Harper even change that? You know what I mean? Because a double clutch like that, bro, that's just it's a hard shot to make.
The only thing you can do to change that is just to not let him get that shot off. Yeah. But the thing is, it all just goes down to it was really good defense. He slipped, but we're not here to make that excuse. You know what I'm saying?
He was trailing ever since he slipped.
Right. Because
realistically,
he still recovered well enough to defend that shot.
Yeah, that was a hard ass shot. It was just not a normal. Literally, double clutch was all right.
He was in the air forever. Wow. That was my favorite part, though.
What about you, Juan?
My favorite part was seeing Phil Jackson and him yelling when he's talking about doing acid.
Oh, I think
pretty much proving that he really is a hippie.
Yeah.
Pretty much he did drugs. And then his connection with Dennis Rodman, how he perfectly understood him.
Right.
I think it was dope.
Yeah.
Because he was dope too. Dude, Dennis Rodman is the weirdest dude that ever walked. And then he was like, no, all right, go on vacation. Yeah, go to Vegas
from the time that they met.
Dude, there was another story I saw on Twitter that one time when they were in Philly, he sent Steve Kerr and John Paxson to go with Dennis Rodman to go to Atlantic City so he can go party. Because he was losing them. Right. He was like, he could tell that, we're kind of losing them. Hey, take him to Atlantic City for a night.
So he just needed to go party just to
he
get himself back into.
And the thing is, every time he played was perfectly focused, and that's how he got so many rebounds.
It's hilarious, bro.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up as far as the vacations that he took. So let's touch up on they talked a little bit about his 48-hour Vegas excursion.
Insane.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that? The whole aspect of, and you kind of just added on to it with the Atlantic City example. So what do you guys think about the fact that Dennis Rodman has to do these types of things just to stay engaged?
When it comes down to it, I'll say this much, is that when we do think of Phil Jackson and his vice, which is being able to understand his stars, understand his players, not just his stars. I'm not saying players today need what Dennis Rodman have, right? But I think there's a healthy balance.
Tyreek Evans, man.
Yeah, I feel like there's a healthy balance to making sure that it's not all about basketball. Right. And I think that's with anything that you do in your life, realistically.
Can I say a quick Phil Jackson quote?
Yeah.
That goes with what you just said. There is more to basketball than basketball, yes. But no, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. I said it backwards. There is more to life. There is more to life than basketball, but there is more to basketball than basketball. That's the quote.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's perfect. Himself. Wish he didn't Jew the first time, but here we are.
Hey, you know what happens?
You got it. But no, I just think that like, if those things don't happen, do the Bulls win? And we always ask these questions, right? But I mean, like, dude, if you have a guy that is important as Dennis Rodman was, and his head's not in the game, do you think he's gonna get 20 rebounds? No, probably not. The effort's not gonna pan.
Oh no,
in the same way.
There's clips that they show that he was talking about interviews. Like, yeah, I'm bored. I'm not trying to play, but here I am.
Yeah. So I mean, like,
he was just a straight up sell to reporters. He was cool. Like, yeah, I'm just bored. Like, I don't want to play.
And the way that I think of that today is that I think that we have the ultimate professionals in today's game, and you want to stay focused on what you want to stay focused on. But I think every great player has their vice and what can kind of drift them away from the game to be great.
Yeah.
And that was his, bro.
But I think that's the one thing that's missed about coaching is you gotta be able to like understand your players instead of you can't just put them all in the same box.
You gotta manage personalities.
Yeah, you gotta understand it, especially with all those good teams. There's so many different egos you gotta control.
Right.
I would say that and this is just this is not a shot, but if Steve Kerr was able to fully understand all his personalities, that the ending wouldn't have happened the way that their ending of their dynasty did happen, possibly.
Well, I think,
and I know through injuries, obviously.
I think he understood what he was very. I could tell he was very passive.
Right.
He's a very passive coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's kind of just like, you know what? They can work it out between themselves. You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, there's coaches out there that really. There's a reason why young coaches these days are really successful. You know what I mean? Like in football, you got Sean McVay who took the Rams.
Because you can relate to them.
Yeah,
so
they
it's
can-
easy.
Right, but like let's
around the same age, they do
line
the same
that into
things.
basketball though,
You know what I'm
because
saying?
Brad Stevens came in. He's more of the
He's a
type of
young
guy he
coach.
is, right? You know what I mean? Like yet to be seen because I don't know enough about
Right,
Brad Stevens
but
and Celtics relationship exactly.
Think about it like this.
Yeah.
You got me and you were having a conversation. You know, we have good conversation, and we are in the same age group.
Right, right.
You try to go have a conversation like the ones that we have with someone that is like your grandparents' age.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm catching your drift because the first person I think was like a Jim Boylan type of guy. Right. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, like,
I don't need to go any further.
And I don't know if it's just the age difference because when he brings up McVay, that's football. Give me more examples in basketball of that. And
Yeah.
I think Stevens may be a good one. I don't know specifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely is. But Frank Vogel is.
I wouldn't say
too.
Jason Kidd is successful, but
No, but I would think that. No,
players
I understand
really
what you're
like
going to
him.
say
You
about
know
that,
what I'm
right?
saying? Players like to play for him. You know what I'm saying?
And so I just feel like being that passive guy, and that's what I was getting at with Kerr, is just being that passive guy is not good enough, though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, some of these issues, and that's kind of what you were getting at with Phil Jackson, is that these things were being attacked on the head, and you can get your guys to be ultimately transparent with you if you can attack it like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the things about that were said about maybe a Durant, et cetera, like leaving and stuff like that, and you don't even know about it, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
you could have knew these things if you weren't so passive about it. Like, oh,
Right.
well, let's just go win championships, guys.
Yeah,
Like,
he
you
was
know.
just like avoiding the drama every single time. He was like, nah, I'm good.
So, and I mean, age too. I think there are some older
It can
guys
play a
can maybe,
factor. It's
but
not
I do
always the
think
case.
I
You got
do
your
think
Luke
age
Waltons
is
out
big.
there in the world. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's for the most part, it's easier to connect when you know exactly.
Well,
Right.
Because you live the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So
agree.
it's really easy to relate to that.
Well, I think that's why Nick Nurse. He's not necessarily younger. I think he's one of the younger coaches, but he can relate.
He's
to
a good.
players.
That's a good.
You gotta be able
example,
to
I feel
adapt.
like.
That's
And
the
I feel like
example
that's
and
that
I-
we needed.
damn. Thank
And
you.
then Eric Spoelstra is
Jesus.
still relatively young, even because he
That's a good
was
one,
super
too.
young too.
We started out.
Oh,
yeah.
should
These
just let you talk, huh?
Yeah, these coaches
coming
you
up with examples out
As
there.
long as
Here.
you got people that can adapt, that's all you need.
Yeah, no, those are okay for you guys. What we were trying to figure out, those are two great examples. But I also
fast
do
forward to when he
I
talks.
do think J Kidd is another good example
Well,
of
that's
like
why
being
I think
able
his
to
play-
understand.
He
his
never had
guys.
X and O's, but all his players
Respect.
loved him.
They love
respect
him.
for
They
the
respect him
players.
and things like that. Because he's like, bro, I just suited them up last year. I'll still bust your ass, bro. Type deal.
He
You know
really
what I mean?
would. He nice with it still.
Right, exactly. But so with all that being said, is that the difference maker for Phil Jackson in the case of the greatest coach of all time?
Yes.
I think that's why he was able to string along as many ships as he was with two teams like that.
Yeah, because people always make the argument, oh, he didn't start from a team with talent. Like it's true as that, but it's also like it's been proven that it's not like just because you have top talent you're gonna win.
Right, and if you
We've-
think about it,
Plenty
And
of
it's
coaches
always
have
the
not
argument.
because they weren't like be able to adapt to their players. They underachieve.
exactly, because the more talent that you have,
the Phoenix
more
Suns,
ego.
because D'Antoni never nips it. Houston, the same problem. He let problems get between Crispy.
Right.
I just always thought that like your job, and you know, don't get me wrong here. I always thought like as a GM looking for a coach, like I wouldn't want the guy that's like, oh, it's gonna run and happen, because the coach is the one that's always next to the player.
Right.
So, and me as a GM, if I'm behind closed doors, like I never wanted it to be, oh, whatever. Let's see. We understand we have our superstar and we want to, you know, cater to that superstar. But don't get me wrong, like it's not just a cake. You know what I mean? We got to have these conversations head to head. I think a great example and just comes to my head is Tyronn Lue with LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. That's one of the best ones I could think of as well, because I mean, Mans was ready to have any conversation. And you think about all the players, like I mean, he's pretty much was just a player not that long ago. Yeah. Like he's literally relatable. He also played in the league, so it's like he's just one of the guys.
Exactly. But it's crazy. With more talent comes more ego.
Fact.
So the fact that you can, you know, kind of put that ego, you know, well, take other people. First of all, it's really hard to try to get somebody to do some things that they don't already want to do, or something that they already aren't motivated on their own to do. You know what I'm saying? So for him to be able to do that with the likes of MJ, Scotty, who, you know, having issues with the GM and stuff like that, and then you have Dennis Rodman, who's, you know, lack of a better term, a wacko, you know. So, and then you have everyone else that's just like, well, we're here. You know, you're gonna care about us too, type of deal. You know what I'm saying?
You want to think that
think about this is one season. What we're watching is one season.
We're not talking, and we're not talking about no extreme hierarchy here, because you know the Bulls thing kind of figured itself out, right?
Right.
MJ, Scotty, Rodman. You get to Shaq and Kobe. It's like Shaq, Kobe. Like that's like, let's blow it all up. It's two alphas walking around here, so that's a whole different. That's a 360 from what he had to experience in Chicago, if you really want to think about it. It's a literal 360. Right, exactly. So that's what I'm getting to, is like, it's not like he's just been put in repetitive scenarios where it's like you got the highest of high talents. Yeah. Yes, they're amazing talents. Was he able to figure it out? And it's the proof's in the pudding. Right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like obviously he was able to figure it out, but those two situations couldn't be any more different than each other. And I think that's one thing he doesn't get enough credit for.
And then he came back to help Kobe win 2 more. And I feel like that was probably the easiest his job has ever been. Probably just because, you know, it's not, you don't have 2 Kobes, or you don't have, you have straight ahead. You have Kobe, you got Paul Gasol, you know, maybe Lamar Odom.
Maybe but I think he was able to figure it out.
He was in good space.
But that's the thing. Kobe was already matured. It was different this time. He knows he was like, I don't have to hold him accountable no more. He's gonna hold everybody else.
Right.
So he knew like.
And then I think the hierarchy again kind of works itself out.
Kobe made it easy for him.
And then when he came back, Kobe admitted it was like, okay, I finally understood what he meant.
Right.
Like he wasn't firing no more. He wasn't getting annoyed. He was like, okay, no, I understand it. So I'm gonna just run in and help my teammates.
Understood his greatness as well.
Yeah, definitely.
The bad boy.
Damn.
And this proves it. You usually gotta be coachable too. You gotta be able to take coaching.
And the bad boys.
Right. And let's talk about their lack of sportsmanship. What do you guys think about that? Dude,
that was, I'm. There's times where I'm a bad sport. You know what I mean? But maybe all the time. But no, I mean like if you come and shake my hand after you lost a game, you know what I'm saying? I'll never forget that. That's something that never goes away in my head. If you're a good sport, right? So that's when I started like pick that up and learn that. Right. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, hell yeah. As a rival, man. Come on. When it comes down to it, and me and Tyler were talking a little bit about it because we had caught the last, or we caught that moment for whatever
together.
How the hell are you talking about the Celtics in a time where this is head to head? Like he had, and that's what. And no disrespect, Isaiah Thomas, but it's the ultimate like hypocritical statement you can make when you have to bring up another team and how they carry themselves as opposed to how you carry. So if Joe Dumars jumps off a bridge, are you jumping? Okay.
Apparently he is.
And I mean, right, maybe so, but I mean, genuinely, come on, man, it's some bullshit.
And even if that was your mind frame at that time, you know, well, for you to say that was your mind frame at that time, it just shows, you know, your character. And I mean, it's obvious that, you know, he can say he's regretful Let's be real.
Yeah, no, he's regretful of the reaction.
If he was regretful,
I feel he's regretful from the reaction he received.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Did he show up the next day or call reporters the next day and say, "Yo, what I did last night was terrible"? No, he didn't do that. If you don't like think about it as you're doing it, the thing is he probably didn't think twice about it. As soon as Bill was like, "No, screw that."
Bill Laimbeer's pretty much admitted that he's like, no, yeah. He pretty much snitched him out. He was like, no, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, and Bill doesn't care. He still doesn't care. He still owns up to it, which is like, I can respect that more, to be honest with you, because then that shows that that's just you, and you being you.
And how you used to play.
It is what it is.
Right.
Yeah,
and how you used to play was pretty much WWE type shit.
Right.
Like
and Bill, he
dropping elbows.
Yeah, and essentially to like, and I hear people call him like a tough guy. Like as much as a tough guy, as much as he is dirty. Like there's a fine line between the two. I feel like he's much more of a dirty player. Thank you. Exactly. There's tough guys that I've seen, and then there's just dirty players, and he's just dirty to me.
Like MJ taking that beating from them is tough.
Yeah,
for them to be doing the beating is dirty.
They weren't ready. They weren't ready to hand it over when somebody earned it and came and took it from them. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest stories is that for the longest time we had said, and this is kind of something similar to what Juan was talking about last week when we had discussed it, is that making it over the hump, Jordan's not a winner. You know what I mean? For a lot of the time, but I think a lot of the times that becomes the difference is if you figure it out where you're at and or if it takes you too long and you have to move on from the organization. You see what I'm saying here? And they figured it out, together.
Right.
Granted, they all got better together, though.
And the Pistons' mindset after they lost is exactly why they never returned.
Right.
That's exactly why they didn't come back.
And don't get me wrong, on a basketball court, Isaiah Thomas, you are one of the 3 best, maybe 2 best point guards I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not taking away from the skill on the court. This is just where there's an issue. It's just your character off the court, man.
It's not just like what he did to Jordan. He's notorious for just being not all that good of a dude.
What did Horace Grant say?
Bitches.
Straight up bitches.
And he didn't hold back. You can tell like he started chuckling like, "Yo, they just naturally came out."
We whooped that ass.
Horace was scary too.
Like, you go ahead.
Oh, yeah, he was like, "Oh, what's up?" Like he was ready for.
That reminded me a little bit of. That reminded me of Kobe and Gasol a little bit.
And that's
Jordan
and the funny part.
Horace.
He went to Shaq and Kobe later. Speaking of it, how you talking earlier, he was also on both teams.
Right,
Horace. Oh
yeah.
On Lakers as well.
A lot of these players are.
Anything else you guys want to talk about or touch up on when it comes to this? Last 2 episodes?
Well, me and you talked about it, which was kind of interesting, is that, one of the reiterating points in this whole documentary is going to be that Michael Jordan wasn't going to play unless he was coached by Phil Jackson. And then obviously afterwards, we know where Phil Jackson went. So would it have been interesting to know that
if it was an immediate switch for Phil, would it have been the same for MJ?
Switch for Mike, right? And then he would have been a Laker. So just something to think about, I guess, right?
Something crazy.
Yeah. No, don't want to.
Shout out to Jerry Cross for letting that happen.
Right.
True. I'm appreciated for it, too, because it wouldn't happen in Chicago.
Right. And go ahead and, hit the like button and let us know what you guys think about, these past 2 episodes of The Last Dance. And let us know what you guys are probably expecting in the next 2. We're all expecting this guy to be part of that. You know what I'm saying? So
I can't wait.
Yeah, stay ready.
This is going to be crazy.
Right, and best believe we'll be back next week with some more recap.
Bring your Kleenex.